Yes, we know the prayers of a righteous prevail. His love never fails. Prayers of a righteous prevail. Yes, we know the prayers of a righteous availeth much. The prayers of the righteous prevail. Yes, we know the prayers of the righteous prevail. His love never fails. Prayers of the righteous availing much. And your ladder will be greater. Ladder will be greater. Ladder will be greater than your past. And your ladder will be greater. Your ladder will be greater. Your ladder will be greater than your past. Come on, I'm prophesying to you that your ladder will be greater. Your ladder will be greater. Your ladder will be greater than your past. I prophesy to you that your ladder will be greater. Your ladder will be greater. Your ladder will be greater than your past. I prophesy to you that your ladder will be greater. Come on, lift your hands. Your ladder will be greater. Receive it. Your ladder will be greater than your past. I prophesy as a prophet that your ladder will be greater. Your ladder will be greater. Your ladder will be greater than your past. I prophesy that you will be blessed. You will be blessed. You will be blessed more than you can ask. You will be blessed. Receive it. You will be blessed. You will be blessed more than you can ask. You will be blessed. You will be blessed. You will be blessed more than you can ask. You will be blessed. You will be blessed. You will be blessed more than you can ask. Lord, I prophesy double portion blessing. I prophesy the rain of the former and the rain of the latter together in one month upon your people. You bring it together in a moment of time. The glory of the past, the glory of tomorrow in a moment in their lives. And what is coming, oh God, is going to outdo, it's going to outweigh, it's going to outshine everything that was good before. I prophesy to your people all over the world, in this place, from this place, that your ladder will be greater. Your ladder will be greater than your past. That your ladder will be greater. Your ladder will be greater. Your ladder will be greater than your past. You will be blessed. You will was, no matter how glorious it was, there's a greater glory coming. Amen. It's coming upon us. Coming upon our lives. You're going to outdo every blessing we've ever known, every blessing we've ever tasted. You're going to outdo it. You're the God of the how much more. We're not alone. You carry our burdens with us. You're changing everything, our circumstances all around us. You're designing it and planning it. You're working all things together for our good. And we have complete trust and faith in you, O God. No matter what the situation, no matter what the circumstance, it doesn't matter what it looks like, we trust you, God. You'll ensure that the latter, that which is to come, is far greater than anything we've ever known. We will be blessed more than we can ask. The best is yet to come. The best is yet to come. I know you're working. I know you're working in all things. In all things. Sing it. I know you're working. I know you're working in all things. In all things. Oh, I know you're working. I know you're working in all things. In all things. Prophesy. I know you're working. I know you're working in all things. In all. Come on, think of your situation and prophesy to it. I know you're working in all things. In all things. I know you're working. I know you're working in all things. In all things. And I cannot see it. God, I still believe it. You are working all things for our good. Come on, give the Lord a shout of praise. I'm really excited because God has said to us what? That our land is going to be greater. That means what is to come is going to outdo everything that was already. Everything that is to come is going to be better than what has passed along before us. The land will be greater, the best is yet to come. Come on, say amen. Now, come on, you got to believe that God has something special for you. You got to believe that God has something great in store for you. It's not going to be, the same old thing that you read through all your life. But there's coming a day when God's going to turn it around. Late in the midnight hour, God's going to turn it around. He's going to work in your favor. And your ladder will be greater. I said your ladder will be greater than your past. Why? Because you're going to be blessed more than you could ever dare to ask. Come on, that's not a faith statement. I am basing that on the Word of God. I'm prophesying that to a generation. I'm prophesying that to you today. I'm prophesying it to the audience out there that the best is yet to come. You got to grab a hold of every time God speaks, every time God says something out of heaven. We got to grab it. We got to believe it. We got to defy the situation by believing something that's crazy absurd. That's why when God speaks and you speak as a prophetic generation, it sounds a little crazy. It sounds stupid. It sounds nuts. How can you say that? Don't you know the situation you're in? How can you say that? Don't you know that the economy is this way? Don't you know that there's retrenchment in the company? How can you talk about promotion? But the problem is this, is that they are not hearing what you are hearing. You are hearing the God of all heaven and all earth proclaim something different over your life. When He says something crazy, we got to be crazy enough to just run with what He says. So it doesn't matter what it looks like. I'm here to tell you today that it doesn't matter what your
current situation looks like, but what is coming is going to outdo. What is coming is going to turn it all around. What is coming is going to make you forget the sorrow of today. Alright, so today's message is this. It's called Living in Your Element, which is part 1. Next week we'll continue it. Living in your element, you've got to first understand that God does everything intentionally. You are not an accident. You are here by design. You are here because God chose you to be here at this point in history. Acts 17 says that He laid out the habitation, the dwelling zone of man's habitation. He put the boundaries around it. And He said, I will put you, Mark, I will put you, Daniel, I will put you, Joanna, in this point in history, so that I can unfold my plan in your life. It was intentional. Means He did it on purpose. You know how when kids are fighting and say, no, you did that on purpose? God did you on purpose. Come on. Amen. God put you here for a purpose. He was purposeful in His design. He thought about it. It was not an accident. You are not an accident. You're meant to be here at this point in history, at this place in the timeline of the world. God is a purposeful being. He always acts intentionally. Nothing that God does is random. God doesn't do random. God doesn't need to be random. Everything God does is by perfect design. You and I are created in His image. The Bible says it very clearly. We are created in His image. And if we are created in His image, we then reflect or have a purpose in God. And that purpose of God is a reflection of God's intention. Your purpose on this earth is a reflection of what God had in His mind when He said, I need to design a boy named Caleb. I need to design a woman named Hannah. He says, when I think about it, I have purpose in my thoughts, I have purpose in my intentions. And I'm gonna, now we become then the carrier, you become, I become, the carrier of God's purpose. We're not accidental, we're not even coincidental, we are by design the carriers of God's purpose because we have been wired by God. We have been wired, produced, designed, manufactured, whatever term you want to use, with the traits and the properties. That means the inclinations. You have certain inclinations. As a personality type, your inclination is to be a certain way, act a certain way. You deal with circumstances a certain way, different to other people. So I might deal with something different to you might deal with something. So that's called inclination. We are designed with traits and propensities, inclinations. And we have proclivities. That means we are predispositioned. You might be one of those persons who, when something faces you, you don't care what you're going to say. You just say it. Say it like it is and let the chips fall where they may. Or you might be the kind of person who's reserved and quiet and you considerate about your words, as we all should be. But sometimes that's not our personality type, right, Joe? Yes, it's not our personality type. But we are wired in a way that God has already designed us to fulfill the purpose He gave us. We're born with it. You're born with all that you need to fulfill what God has intentioned you for. Come on, say amen. That means you carry the power in you to execute God's intentions on the earth. You have it. God gave it to you when He designed you in the womb. Before you even formed in the womb, God said, I need this person to have A, B, C, D, personality type. I need them to have this propensity or the way their inclinations, the way they're wired. I'm designing them with intention. And they are going to carry the power to execute my intention for them on the earth. That means you play a vital role in the cog or in the machinery of God. Every part of a machine is necessary. Manufacturers don't add extra parts for no reason. Except for the case of the appendix. We still don't know what that's for. But when somebody's designing a car, when a manufacturer is designing a vehicle, they don't add extra bits of machinery in the engine that doesn't do anything in the engine. I mean, can you imagine that? What would be the point? So God has not designed you accidentally. He's designed you intentionally. That means you have the potential to perform according to the purpose of your design. I'll say that again. You have the potential to perform according to the purpose of your design. If God designed you, He put everything in you that you need, that's called the potential, to perform the way He wants you to function, to fulfill your purpose. I'll give you an example, make it easy. If you're designing a car, the purpose of a car is to transport somebody from point A to point B. We agree? Yes. So the car has the potential. When it's designed, God designs it in such a way that it will fulfill its potential to move somebody from point A to point B. That means He's got to put wheels on it, He's got to put an engine in it, whatever it takes. He can design it differently. Maybe He can make it ride on electromagnetic energy. However God wants it, that's fine. But the potential or the intention of that design is to move somebody from point A to point B. That's what a car is. So when God designs it, He designs it that way. He says, I've got to make it such that it can actually do what I want it to do. My intention is to move things. I'm putting this vehicle on the earth. It's got to do what I want it to do. I've got to design it so that it can do what I want it to do. That means that's you. God designed you. You carry the power to execute His intention. You have the potential to perform according to the purpose of your design. You have it. Let no one tell you different. Let no one tell you you're never going to amount to anything. Let no one tell you you can't do it. Let no one tell you that the task is too great for you. The vision is beyond you. God has given you the potential to execute His purpose. Amen. The problem is, we often don't tap into our full potential. We often don't realize what we're capable of doing. Why? Because we let situation and circumstance dictate to us. So, in Genesis 1, and I love Genesis as you know, God says this, He says, when He makes man, He said, let us make man, what? In our image. Not according to what the world thinks that you should do with your life. Not according to what your boss thinks that you're capable of or incapable of. Not according to what your spouse thinks that you are capable of or incapable of. But God said, let us make man in our image and in our likeness, and let him have dominion. Let him have dominion. In essence, God was saying this. We've got dominion. The Father, Son, the Holy Ghost, we've got dominion. Now we're going to create man to look just like us. We're going to create man to have our image and our likeness, to carry all our DNA inside of them. That means your propensities and your inclinations and your proclivities. I'll put it all our characteristics inside of man. And then He says this, and now let them have dominion. The moment God said that, He was essentially transferring power from heaven's throne to the earth. And He's saying, now I'll shut myself out. I will lock myself out by my choice. God, I am going to lock myself out because I'm going to let them have dominion. You can't say let them have dominion because, and I'll also retain dominion, because then it's co-dominion. Then it's not really them having dominion, it's God having dominion, and He's telling us what to do. But God was saying let them have dominion, and then they will need, and so verse 27 of Genesis 1 says, and God created man in His own image. The ability to rule, the ability to create, the ability to expand, because that was Adam's job. Adam's job was to subdue the earth. Let him have dominion and let them subdue it. And that subdue was this. God created a garden. He said, Adam, here's a prototype. I'm creating the prototype vehicle. I'm creating the proto-environment. I'm creating the one-off model as the ultimate designer. And you, Adam, must reproduce this design. But you must do it the way I did it, Adam. You must do it because I'm giving you the ability. I'm creating you in my image. Adam's job was to go to the borders because Eden had borders. It was surrounded by rivers. The God had given him a commission. He said, Adam, I don't want you to stay in the garden. I don't want you to stay stuck in your day job. I don't want you to stay stuck in the situation that you're in. He said, Adam, I'm creating a prototype. I'm creating the template for you. And what I want you to do is go to the borders. Adam would get up in the morning. I'm obviously paraphrasing it, but you can understand the spiritual aspects. Adam would get up in the morning and Adam would go to the borders of Eden. And his job was to terrascape the entire earth. Because the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon, and then God spoke to the earth. And it brought up vegetation, but it didn't look like Eden. Eden was a garden, a prototype of God said, I want you to spread Eden all over the planet. And so Adam would have to get out and he would have to go to the borders of Eden, and he would have to speak to the earth. And he would have to subdue the earth, not through hard labor, and not through toil, and not through effort, but he would just have to send forth his word. Why? Because he carried the image of God. And he said, now I've got dominion over you. God gave it to me. He locked himself out and he said, I must rule in his place. And so I'm speaking to you, earth. And he would say whatever he wanted to say. And vegetation would come forth, and he would eventually terrascape. He was the ultimate landscaper. That was his job. And he would terrascape the entire earth. Eden would spread across the planet. And so God says, and I made man in my image, and he blessed them. You know, that word blessed implies he crowned them with honor and glory. He crowned them with honor and glory, and he said, be fruitful, subdue the earth, have dominion over it. And God saw everything that he made, and he said, it's good. That means God was happy with his design. He didn't need to do anything more. He didn't need to tinker with the design. He said, I'm happy with the design. The design I created has the potential to fulfill the very purpose I have of my intention. My intention is for the whole earth to look like what I'm going to create, the prototype Eden. I said, I'm going to put a man in there who's made in my image. His name is Adam. And I'm going to give him all the power that he needs. I'm going to give him all the attributes that he needs. I'm going to wire him in such a way that he's going to be able to do what I intended him to do. That's you. God has given you already everything you require to fulfill your purpose in life. The problem is we don't tap in to the fact, the truth, that we have in us already everything God wants us to have, to reach out and do what we're supposed to do. So today, we're going to discuss that. We're going to go on next week and conclude it. But I want to tell you today that everything in your life happens by design. It's not by coincidence. The world has this, the world has coincidence, but we live by God's design. So, we have to live intentionally. That means we've got to live with a purpose. We can't just go day to day, let's see what happens, We've got to have a purpose. The Bible says that without vision, what the people perish. That word perish actually means to dwell carelessly. Not carefree, but carelessly. We've got to have sight of what we're doing. We've got to have a glimpse of God's intentionality. We can't just go day to day and say, let's see what tomorrow brings. I don't know. No. God wants us to have a clear indication of where we are going and what He's doing. So we must live intentionally. Why? Because we created in His image, and God is not random. God is intentional, and God is intentional so that we can realize and fulfill our purpose. That's how He created us. Okay, so you got the basics. So here we go. In James 1:17. It says this, every good and perfect gift is from above, and it comes from the Father of the lights, with whom there is no variation or shadow of turning. That means God is constant and unwavering in His thoughts and His intentions for our lives. I'm grateful for that. I don't want God to change His mind about it. I don't want God to think, the kid messed up today. Gabriel, the kid messed up today. Let's change the whole plan for him. No. God says, okay, he messed up today, Gabriel, but don't worry. Send your angels out, realign, recalibrate the situation so that he can still fulfill the purpose for which I made him. Isn't that good? That's the grace of God. That's the mercy of God. It means even when you hit a flop, just to use a colloquial expression, and you've messed it up, and you think, oh my gosh, now how am I going to recover from this situation? God looks at the angels, and Jesus says to God, I'm praying for them, Father. And Father says, okay, because you're praying, send forth the angels to execute your word. Recalibrate their situation, recalibrate their circumstance, reposition them so that I can still bring their purpose out of them, wherever they are. Now, the intentions of God for your life will never change. Why? Because James says it's without shadow, without variation. That means He's not going to change His mind. God's never going to change His mind about you. He's never going to change His mind about me. I'm so grateful for that. His intention change, but the way he brings them to pass does. So he's constant in his thoughts. He's without variation, without shadow of turning, the King James Version says. His thoughts about you or his intentions for your life never change, but the execution of his intention can change. So God might want to do something in your life. That's his intention for you. His intention for you is to go meet somebody at university and marry them. That's how he's going to bring that spouse into your life. Just an example. And you get thrown out of university. Now what? God still wants you to marry a particular person. He still wants to bring that person in your life. He's got to then what? Recalibrate the situation so that his intention for you to meet that person still comes to pass. So the intention will be executed. I'm still going to hook you up with that person. I don't know if God uses that phrase, but I'm still going to connect you to that person so you get married that person. But I can't let you, you're not going to meet that person at university anymore because you got kicked out. So I am going to show grace and mercy, extend grace and mercy towards you. I'll recalibrate your situation so that I bring that person back into your life. Somehow, my intention is executed in a different way. Yeah? So God's intention is constant. The way he executes his intentions can change. Why? Because God is committed to his purpose. That means God is committed to you. How great is that? Wow. God is committed to us. Many times people say, I often hear this expression from people. Oh, is there any purpose to it all? What's the purpose of life? As if life is so bad. Well, the way you answer that question today might actually change the way you see your life. Because we need to start beginning to see things from God's perspective. We need to see, what was the reason for this? God, is there a reason? Why is this happening? Why did you allow this to happen? Our ability to perceive God's signature in our lives creates faith in our lives. The moment you can see, hey, you know what, this happened, but I believe God is in it. This happened to me, but I believe there's a reason for it. I know that God doesn't just let random things happen in my life. Everything that happens in my life, God knows about, and God has planned for. He's planned for every outcome, every eventuality. God's made an allowance for it. Therefore, this thing is happening for a reason. And the moment we start thinking like that, the moment we start looking at life like that, faith builds in us. Faith that God is in control and God is going to bring to pass his purpose in our lives. Come on. You must understand that every blessing that comes into your life, it comes from God above. And that he uses people and circumstance to bring blessing into our lives. It can be a boss, it can be a spouse, it can be a friend, it can be a pastor, it can be a colleague, it can even be the economy. And the economy suddenly changes and something happens in the economy and it creates an opportunity for you. God uses everything in our lives in order to bring about some intervention in our day, some kind of miraculous intervention, some kind of blessing. Whether it's people or circumstances, God uses it all. It's by his design. And so I was saying our ability to perceive God's signature in our lives, it deepens our faith. Not only then do we see him active in our circumstances, but we also then begin to know and understand that he is watching over his word in our lives to bring it to pass. God is actively engaged in you. He's actively watching over what he said in your life, or what you are saying to him. God, you said this of me, you said this from your word, that I shall have this. You said today, God, that my latter will be greater than my past, that the best is yet to come. You said it, God. Now when you say to God what God said to you, God has to watch over his word and hasten to perform it. Come on! And the more you say to God what God said to you, the more intently God observes you. We have to perceive God, but God observes us. We talked about this the last time. And so it's not coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence. I believe in God's intentionality. And so, the other morning I was talking to the Lord and God said this to me. He said, nothing that touches you has not first passed through my purview. Nothing that touches you, Greg, nothing that comes your way, nothing that happens to you has not first passed through my purview. Now, he can say that to me because I understand the word. I know what purview means, but let me explain what purview means, right? So, in the English dictionary, purview means this. It means the scope of the influence or range of thought. Scope of influence or range of thought. So he's really saying this, Greg, whatever happens to you in your life, whatever comes, whatever touches you, I've seen it first. I knew it first. It was in my range of thoughts. It was within my scope of vision. Before it ever got to you, I already saw it. Now why is he saying that to me? He's saying that nothing takes me by surprise. It might have taken you by surprise, but I already saw it. I already saw it, son, and I already made allowance for it. I already saw it, son, and I already sent the angel to deal with it. I already saw it, son, and I've already taken care of it. You just got to realize and tap into my thought and see how I'm taking care of it, and then it'll manifest in your world. Purview, I love this word, purview. Originally, it's a French word, right? View. So, in the Anglo-Saxon French, the original word is purvey. And the meaning of purvey is this. It means to provide or supply as one's primary business. Wow. You know what this means? It means that it's God's primary business to be the provision for your purpose. That's what he's in the business of. God's primary business, his purvey, is to be in the business of providing a provision for your purpose. Nothing that happens to you happens outside of God's purvey or purview. That means nothing that goes on in your life, God is not aware of it, and he's not already provided for it. God has. God's provided for your current situation. You may say, well, what do you mean provided? He may have provided a way of escape. Not only the negative, but he may have provided a way of opportunity. We've got to start thinking like God and realizing that nothing that happens in our day, and you're going to find that this happens this week, right? Because this is what the week of, and I'll get to it just now. I don't want to steal my own thunder. I don't want to steal God's thunder. But nothing that happens this week is going to happen by accident. Everything that happens this week, God has already designed it. Things that happen to you this week, and I love that we're the kind of people that go week to week living by Rhema. We don't live on yesterday's Rhema. We get to a Sunday, and God says something, and God says, now that's for this week. And we live that whole week, we get to the next Sunday, and God says, now I'm going to tell you something else. And then we live that whole week by that Rhema. Man shall not live by bread alone, but what? On every word that proceeded from the mouth of God. And that's how we live as this little rock church. We're on the cutting edge, baby. Let me tell you, we're living what we preach. God says this week that things that are going to happen in your life, there are things that are going to happen. There's situations that are going to come up. Some are going to look negative to you. Some are going to look very positive to you. But God's saying this to you, nothing that comes into your life, nothing that touches you this week is not something that I have already seen and I've already provided for. Come on, give me a hooah! So God is in the business of making provision for your purpose. God states unequivocally. I love that, the fact that only God can say some of the things that God says. Because He's so great. He's the only one who can make a statement like this. I'm going to read it to you. Isaiah 46 and verse 11. I am God, there is none like me. Wow. Only God can say that. I am God, there is none like me. Go try and find some. I have made known the end from the beginning, from ancient times, and what is still to come. God has made known what was, and He knows what is still to come. And that is why He has created provision ahead of time. Purvey. He says, from the east, my purpose will stand, and I will do what I please. So He says, my purpose will stand, and I will do all that I please. I love this line. He says, from the east, I can summon a bird of prey from a far off land, a man to fulfill my purpose. That means God has a purpose, and He'll use any means to make it happen. He can get a bird of prey to come and feed Elijah at the brook Cherubim. So that was what happened. A bird of prey, a raven came and fed Elijah. The Bible says that mount up like wings like eagles. That's a bird of prey. And then He says, I can bring a man from a far off land to fulfill my purpose. I can do anything I want. I will do anything I want to make sure that my purpose in your life comes to pass. God's committed to His purpose in you. That means God's committed to you. He says, what I have said, that I will bring about, and what I planned, that I will do. But just one verse earlier, he says this, remember the former things? He says, for I am God, there is no one else, I am God, there is none like me. I declare the end from the beginning, from ancient times, things not yet done. Then he says, my counsel, or my intentionality, shall stand, and I will do all my purpose. That's what he said. My intentions are forever. I will execute them however I need to, so that my purpose will come to pass. My purpose for who? My purpose for you. You have a purpose. You are here to do something for God. It doesn't mean that you've got to stand with a microphone in your hand and have an audience. It doesn't mean that you're going to be behind a pulpit, but you are in the right place at the right time. Come on. Amen. You're born at the right time in history for God to use you to bring all of His purposes together. Your job in being on the earth, I keep telling people this, is actually for somebody else. Everything that you have in you is actually for somebody else. Everything that you have in your hand, everything that God has given you is actually for somebody else, it's not for you. Every gift God gives you, if you have your spiritual gifts, word of knowledge, prophecy, healing, how can it be for you? The gifts that you have has to be for somebody else. Otherwise, what use are they? If God gives you finance in your hand, that is not for you, it's for somebody else, it's for the kingdom. If God gives you wisdom in your life, it's not for you. Yes, you will use it, but it's for somebody else so that you can make their life better. And we need to start looking at our lives and how is my life here today meant to better somebody else's life? When we start thinking like that, instead of being anthropocentric, it's a fancy word that means self-centered. When we start thinking like that, we are then exercising kingdom thought. Remember last week I told you, negative discharge, we take negative things away from our life and we become positively charged. Well, that is how we become positively charged when we think kingdom thoughts. So he says, my intentionality is never going to change, it shall stand. And I will do all of my purpose in your life. So what appears to be random sometimes in our lives is not random. It's God choosing to allow it to happen. Why? Because He says, I know the very number of hair on your head. So if God knows the numbers of hair on your head, and we all know that some people lose hair. I've lost some hair. Some of us lose hair daily. But He knows exactly when a hair falls. He knows when a sparrow falls. He knows when a leaf falls from a tree. He knows everything all the time. It's not even difficult for Him to know these things. So there's nothing random with God. Everything is by design and intention. You think, a lot of people say to me, I wasn't even planned by my parents. I'm there by accident. No, you're not. You just got to read Psalm 139, where He says, before you were ever formed in your mother's womb, I knew you. God knew us. God knew what He would have to do with our lives. God knew what He needed to put inside of us to execute the plan that He has for mankind, for our own lives, for those people around us. In Jeremiah, He says, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I consecrated you. I saw you unformed body and all the days that were ordained for you, and I wrote them in my book. That means you were predestined. You weren't an accident. God designed you, and He said, and this is what you shall live out all the days of your life. I've written them down. You think, but how? Don't I have a choice? Don't I have a choice in the whole matter? Yes, you have choice. You've got free will. But let me disabuse you of this notion of free will. It's somewhat of a misnomer. Why? Because your free will, the force that your free will exerts, is actually secondary to the will of God. That means even if you exert free will and make a choice that is not in line with what God wants for your life, God will use your bad choice and He will still recalibrate the entire situation so that it still has the outcome He wants and He desires. So this whole free will thing is a bit of a misnomer. we don't really understand. We are not affecting God by our free will. We make a bad choice, we're not really affecting God. He'll use your bad choice and He'll still recalibrate the situation so that His intention comes to pass. What happens when you make a good choice? Well, then you start looking a little bit more like God, right? When you make the good choices. And when we look more like God, God is what? More attracted to us. Come on, I love it. Amen. So, I want to move on to what we hardly talk about in church anymore. It's based on the scripture from Genesis 50. I was reading it the other day, and this is what sparked all this off. I wasn't reading Genesis 50 for no reason. I turned to Genesis 50. And you might say, oh, Greg, you just turned there. Use this word turn like I have a physical Bible. I scrolled on the screen to Genesis 50. And in it, I read about the story of Joseph. Now, as you know, Joseph was sold into slavery. He was thrown into a pit by his brethren because of his arrogance, but that's another story. And then he was sold into slavery. He went into Potiphar's house, and then from there he went to a prison. And all things happened to him. Eventually he was promoted. He became Prime Minister of Egypt. All things worked together for his good, right? For his benefit. That's what God is telling us. It wasn't that it was random coincidence that, from the pit that he got thrown in by his brothers, he ended up being sold into slavery, or it just so happened that there were some slave merchants passing by that day. You can say, well, that's coincidental. He was in the pit, and it just so happened that slave merchants were passing by. No! God was the one who designed it all, that those people would pass by, that He would put it in the brother's heart not to kill him, but to sell him. And he sells him, and he goes off and he gets to Potiphar's house. And he serves one in Potiphar's house. It is not coincidental. It is not some random act that Potiphar's wife was making advances to him. God needed him to get to a place where he would meet a butler and a baker. The only way that he was going to meet the butler and the baker was when the butler and baker were thrown into prison. And God said, well, now there's a perfect opportunity for you to go and meet them and change their world. And so he said, okay, well, Potiphar's wife, I'm going to use you in this picture. And you think you really got a choice here, Potiphar's wife? I'm going to use your choice. And you're going to advance against Joseph. And then the master's going to come home. You're going to concoct a story. And he's going to get thrown into prison. But I meet him there anyway. And so he gets into prison. He interprets a dream to the butler and the baker. Eventually, Pharaoh comes to hear about the guy's ability. He's still in prison. Pharaoh gets to hear about his ability. He says, I had a dream. So he says, right, okay, come, get this guy. Bring him to my court. He interprets Pharaoh's dream. Why? Because when Joseph was having the dream about the sun and the stars bowing down to him before he told his brothers, God actually had seen him in the future in Pharaoh's court. He saw him in Pharaoh's court because there had to come a day when he would take care of his brothers. And so he saw him at that moment when Joseph was having the vision of the sun and the stars bowing down to him. God was actually purveying the future. It was his business to provide for Joseph's purpose. So he said, okay, this is how I'm going to do it. And Joseph eventually now, he becomes Prime Minister of all of Egypt. And his brothers come to him, his father comes to him. What's his father's name? Israel, Joseph, Jacob. And they come to him, they're living with him, and eventually he's going to die. Jacob's going to die. And because he's old. And the brothers are scared now. They say, well, once dad is gone, you know what he's going to do? He's going to have us killed. Because of what we did to him when he was younger. When he was thrown into that pit. But Genesis 50 verse 20, Joseph says something amazing to his brothers. He says, don't be afraid, guys. Because he finds out when they come and throw themselves down before him. In fact, they lied when they said, Joseph, Dad said to tell you before he died that you must not hold a grudge against us. Dad didn't say anything like that, but they would have told you that. They threw himself down. He says, guys, look, I know you lied, but it's okay. Don't worry. Don't be afraid. And he says this, the thing that was meant for evil, God made it for good. The thing that you thought was just random coincidence, God means it for good. And He's going to bring it to pass so that many can be saved. He's going to bring it to pass to save what He desires. He's going to bring it to pass to fulfill His purpose. Do you know what God's ultimate purpose for Joseph's life was? To save one brother from the famine. That one brother named Judah. Why? Because from Judah was going to come forth Jesus. God's entire plan was to bring Jesus to the earth. And he said Jesus is going to come from Judah, but if there's a famine in the land, Judah's going to die, there's going to be no Jesus. So I got to go put a Joseph in Egypt, because they're going to have grain and corn in Egypt, and he's going to have to save Judah. But I'm going to have to get Joseph positioned there. How am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to use all things and work it all together for good, so that Joseph gets stationed where he's supposed to be stationed. But along the way, he might not understand why things are happening to him. Do you think when he was in the pit, he was thinking, wow, this is the promise of God? Woo! Do you think that when Potiphar's wife accused him unjustly and threw him to a prison, he was going, ooh-ah! No. He was saying, why, God, am I here? Crying out, shaking his fist in the sky. What happened? What did I do? God, and then God whispers, all things are working for your good. Your ladder is going to be greater than your past. The best is yet to come. God is working in your life by design. He's working in your life this week. And this is the word for the week. It comes from this Genesis 50 story. God, and we don't use this in the church anymore. I don't know why. God is allowing divine providence. Say providence. Providence. To be your portion. Now here's what that means, right? Providence means this in English. It means the protective care of God. The protective care of God. How great is that? It also means this, the timely preparation for future outcomes. Wow. The timely preparation for future outcomes, that's providence. And God says, I'm activating providence in my people this week. Come on. The root meaning of providence is foresight. It means to provide for. Right? Providential. That's why you have a provident fund. Now you get where that comes from? Yes. Right? I love it. But that definition is too shallow. For prophetic people, that's a too shallow definition. It makes it sound too passive. Providence is not just something that happens. Providence is something that God intentionally works out in our lives. To bring it to pass in our lives so we can benefit somebody else. And somebody else's benefit benefits us. It's a symbiotic system. Now, I love this definition, right? The Westminster Divines. So Westminster Divines is this. They're an assembly of theologians back in the 16th century. They came up with this statement about divine providence. Let me read it to you. God, the great creator of all things, upholds, directs, and governs all creatures, all actions, and all things, from the greatest event to the least, by his most wise and holy providence. That means providing for future outcomes. According to his infallible knowledge and the immutable, that means the unchangeable, counsel of his intentions, to his praise and glory, power, justice, goodness, and mercies forever. Wow, isn't that great? God has designed this for us. So make no mistake about it. There's a song, a children's church song. He's got the whole world. In his hands, he's got the whole wide world. In his hands, he's got the whole world. In his hands, he's got the whole world in his hands. That means God has got it all under control, baby. Come on. He's got your life under control. I get a lot of emails. I get a lot of people writing to me, asking me for advice, asking me for spiritual input, for spiritual word. Prophet, give us a word that can change today. My life is out of control, and my immediate thought is, your life's not under control. God's got it under control. It might not look that way to you, but I start off by saying we've got to perceive what God is doing, and if we perceive it, faith comes. Faith that tells you He's got it all under control. This whole concept of, oh, but I made a bad choice. Yes, we can make bad choices. Yes, you've got free will. But your free will is subordinate to God. God will use whatever decision you make, He'll still bring His purpose to pass. It's shown no better than in the story of Judas. I often get asked about this guy, Judas. Judas, well, do you know Judas was part of God's plan? Judas, the guy who betrayed Jesus. If there wasn't a Judas, there'd have to be somebody else, right? Judas exercised free will. Do you not think that free will that he exerted, oh, I got free will, brother. Yeah, do you not think that the free will that Judas exerted to betray Jesus was still something God used. God uses it all, negative and positive, bring it all together and work it out so that His immutable counsel, the intention of His will, comes to pass. There's a theologian, Sproul, and he said something. In fact, it was he who said that our will is secondary to God. We don't exert the force that we think with our own will. Our will, the force that it creates, is insignificant compared to when God exerts His will. And God is exerting His will on the universe every second of the day. That means everything in nature is responding to God's will. Everything in somebody else's life, whether Christian or not, is responding to God's intention, God's will. And God's will for you is the very best. Why? Because I know the thoughts that I have toward you, say who God, plans for a hope and a good future, not plans to hurt you or harm you. That means the whole universe goes, oh, Caleb, God's got a great future for you. I am going to align myself with God's future for you to bring His great thoughts toward you, bring them to pass. Why? Because if I don't, I'm outside of the will of God. And nature is never outside God's will. So what is this whole concept of divine providence? The Bible says that He makes the rain to fall on the just and the unjust alike. He makes light to shine. It's Job 20, verse 25. It says, does His light not rise? Now in the Hebrew, the ancient Jewish Hebrew sages, that word, the ray of light, the ray of God's light is the word kaf. And that's what they say is divine providence. That's what they call divine providence. God's infinite light, it symbolizes it. He makes it fall on the whole world, just and unjust alike. God sends forth something. He sends forth His goodness. Now, for those of us who are making the right choices and we're trying to live godly lives, and we're trying to live a life that is pleasing to God, then divine providence immediately starts working. Say, what about those who are making all the wrong choices? Well, here's the goodness of God. He creates an opportunity for them to exit the bad choice and turn to a good choice. That's just and unjust. That's how it works. In Exodus 13, it says that they had a cloud that went over them. Cloud by day, a pillar of fire by night. It also says that there was the angel of the Lord who encamped before them and behind them and separated the Egyptians from them. That means God's divine providence is your force field. It's your force shield. When providence is in your life, the divine providence, when you recognize it, when you perceive it, when the moment that happens is, God, you're working on my behalf. You're working all things together for my good, no matter what it is. Whether it's I go to the hospital today, whether it's I started this service late today, it's because of something that I can't see yet. Do you realize that? Let me just explain this to you. Do you realize that God may have designed us to start half an hour later today? Because if you had left at the normal time you left, there could have been an accident on the road. And because we started half an hour later, you've missed it by half an hour. Do you realize that's how God works? No, now you're thinking about it. Huh? Yeah. But that's why God designs things the way He designs things. It all happens for a reason. Especially to us who perceive God's signature in our lives. Anyway, let's go on. I'm going to close. This is where it gets really great. This is where you're going to get excited. Psalm 121 says this, Yahweh is your keeper. Yahweh is your safety. Yahweh is your shield. Yahweh is your providence. Yahweh is the shade on your right hand. Now that word is the word zil, T-Z-I-L. And it means shadow. So what you're really saying is this, Yahweh is your protection. Yahweh is the shadow to your right. Yahweh is the shadow to your right. Now you remember Hebrews 8 verse 5? God is telling Moses, build the sanctuary. It is the shadow of what is in heaven. The shadow of what is in heaven, and make it according to that copy. Make it according to that pattern. Why am I saying this? Because the divine light of God casts a shadow in this world. God casts His shadow in this world, and He is the shadow on your right hand side. He is shining on you. He is creating a shadow. His light shining on you creates a shadow in this world. That wherever His shadow goes, it changes the situation, the circumstance. That means you're walking, but you're walking in His light. His light shining on you, His car, the ray of light, the ray of divine providence. And so if I walk into my office, His light is shining on me, it's creating a shadow in my office, and everywhere that my shadow goes, something must change. Everywhere that my shadow touches, something must get healed. Everywhere my shadow is, the situation must respond. Divine providence. It's all going to work out. All we have to do is learn to walk in the outline of the shadow. You know a shadow has an outline, right? You're walking on the beach, you see the outline of you. Yeah? You're going to walk in that shadow. Wherever the shadow moves, we don't control the shadow. Wherever the shadow moves, we move. Because God's light moves around us and about us and above us. We walk, but the light is moving. The light moves to the left, the light moves to the right. This is the way walking in the left, this is the way walking in the right. Wherever the light moves, as the cloud moved, the children of Israel moved. Where the cloud stayed, the children of Israel stayed. 1 Corinthians says this. That was not which is spiritual first, but what is natural. We have a natural law. There are natural things that happen. And the Bible says that there's a natural first and there's a spiritual. They're linked together. They're copies, shadows of one another. A shadow mirrors the action of the person. You stick your hand out, the shadow creates a hand, right? It's not an actual person, but it's a copy. It's representing you. And how we act in this world determines how heaven responds to us. So, first the natural, then the spiritual. So I'm using the concept of natural shadow. How we act in this world, our actions in this world, elicit a correlation response from heaven. And God announces His intention, I love this, to build a sanctuary for Him. He says, build me a Mishkan. Shakan is tent, Mishkan is tabernacle. Build me a tabernacle, I want to dwell with you. And He says, I will design this using one man. And that man's name was Bezalel. And it really means to be in the shadow of God. Anytime you hear C-L in the Bible, Bezalel. Bezalel, El means God. Bezal is to be overshadowed. He says, I am going to use one man to design everything. I'm going to put my spirit upon him and over him, and my spirit's going to overshadow him. You know who else was overshadowed? Mary. And the Spirit of the Holy God came down and overshadowed Mary, and she became pregnant with the Word of God. You know who else was overshadowed? Jesus. It says that He was taken, Luke 9, they took Him up, they went up to a high mountain, I taught it last week, and He was transfigured before them, remember? And it says this, it says a cloud overshadowed them, who? Peter, James, and John, and Jesus. And they entered into the cloud. You've got to do something on the earth to elicit a response from heaven. We've got to do the right things. And so what does that mean? How do we do it? Well, it's quite simple. It's a scripture that you know. It means this. Psalm 91 says this. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall do what? Abide under the shadow of God. And that is what the key to this divine providence is. It's to abide under the shadow of God. What is it? But the most important part of the scripture is this, the secret place. Because that's the question we must ask. What is the secret place? How do I get it if it's a secret? How am I supposed to find it out? It's like in a mystery room. How am I supposed to find the secret? Where's the door? What is the secret place? The secret place of God is the place beyond the veil. It's the place of intimacy at the foot of the throne. It's the place where you're communing and talking with God. It is Eden, the garden of your soul. It's the secret place where the breath of God comes at the cool of the day. I'm not saying at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, that is when you can meet God, but that's when I like to say hello to God. It's my appointment. It's a sacred place of the garden of your soul. Where the breath of God walks through your garden. Because He's come to commune with you and talk to you. Psalm 91 really says this, when you abide in the secret place of Elyon. Most High God, El Elyon, El Elyon. And Elyon means to ascend, it means to go up. When you abide in a higher realm, that is the secret place. That's what he says, John, come up here and I will show you things to come. When you abide in the secret place of the Most High God, you are living in the shadow of divine providence. So this week God began to tell me that nothing is outside His scope, His purview. Anything that touches me, He's already seen. It's all been on His radar. And that we carry the power to execute His intentions. We have the potential to perform the purpose for which He designed us. That's you and me. And this week, things are going to happen in our lives, and you're going to have to take note of it, because you're going to have to give God glory for it. You're going to say, God, I don't know how this happened. This happened. At the time, I didn't think it was going to be good, but it's worked out for my betterment. It's worked out. You've worked all things together. This week is the week of divine providence. Amen. Where things are going to happen in your life that you are going to begin to see God's signature behind it. God, I don't know why I was late. Now I know why I was late. God, I don't know why the taxi didn't pick me up. Now I know why the taxi didn't pick me up. God, I don't know why my boss gave me this extra assignment and I have to work later than I should and I don't like him for it. But it's going to work out. God, I don't know why I had to go through that. I don't know why I had that health issue. But it's going to work out. Why? Divine providence. God's going to bring to pass His purpose in your life. Because He has provided, He's given you provision to execute the potential you have to change your timeline, to change the world around you, to influence and affect somebody else's life. So I often say this: when God speaks to a prophet and He begins to tell the prophet something about his own life, it's a shadow again. It's a foretaste of now release it from your life. Release it from you into the people. Release it from you into the world. Because what I'm dealing within you, what I'm speaking within you is not just for you. The gifts are never just for you, it's for somebody else. And so God is going to tell me that divine providence is at work in my life, and divine providence is at work in your life. How many want divine providence to be at work in your life? To live in the shadow of God. And to have all things work together for good. For those who what? Love God. Now how can you love somebody if you're not talking to him? How can you love somebody if you have a strange relationship? How can you love somebody if you don't spend time? That is the secret place. So this week we're going to talk to God. We're going to dwell in the secret place. But then you must realize that you're going to say to God, God, I'm dwelling in the secret place. I'm living in the moment in the shadow of your love. I'm here, God. I'm here. And if I'm here, then you're going to do all the other things. All the other things are going to work. God wants to know that you understand how He works. He wants you to be able to tell Him, oh God, I know, I figured it out. I figured out how you work this thing. God wants to pat you on the back and go, well done, good and faithful daughter, good and faithful son, you worked it out. And because you worked it out, why? Because it is the right of kings and priests to seek out the secrets of God. It's only when you know the secret does the secret work for you. I'm not talking about the run the word secret, right? That's rubbish. I'm talking about the secrets of God, the high secrets of God. So I want to stand with you, I want to pray for you, I want to activate this in you. Remember that our actions on earth determine heaven's response. Our actions on earth determine how things work out in our lives. We've got to do something on the earth. We've got to act in faith, by faith, activate faith. So Father, I bring this company before you, full of potential, to execute the purpose that you have for their lives. Father, you declared in Romans 8 that all things work together for good for those who love God and are called according to His purpose. The full intentions of God. That is your word, God. We stand on your word and proclaim your word. That you shall work all things together for our good. We are abiding under the shadow of the Almighty. Dwelling in the secret place, ascending to the secret place of God. To dwell with you and have communion with you, become one with you. And we might live in the shadow of your divine providence. All things that you have already catered for, taken into account. Nothing shall touch us that has not been within your purview, O God. things synergize. You make all things come together this week. Let us forever abide in your shadow, and so I activate that amongst you. The shadow of God in the lives of us who love you and are the called, the inheritors of salvation. Activate your purpose in our lives. Bring to pass the potential we have to change the world around us. I declare this upon your people. I speak the word of God, that our latter shall be greater than our past, that we shall be blessed more than we could ever dare to ask. The best is yet to come. I prophesy this upon them, that they may see the evidence of it this week in their lives, in the lives of their families, in their careers, in their health, in every aspect related to life. In Jesus' name. Say, my latter will be greater than my past, and I will be blessed beyond what I can ask. The best is yet to come. The best is yet to come. The best is yet to come. Come on, give me a hooah! Give me a strong hallelujah! Hello, friends and warriors. We are so glad that you can be a part of our virtual audience. You know, our entire mission is to create a virtual environment, create a cyber audience. So as much as we have a live studio audience, the vision that we have is to have a large cyber audience, a virtual audience around the world who listen to the voice of the prophet, listen to the sound of heaven that comes from a prophetic ministry. And it is our honor and privilege to be able to touch you, reach out to you, and to bring the word of the Lord directly into your living space, into your homes, and boardrooms, dorm rooms, offices, whatever environment you're at, to be able to hear the word of God. So if you are enjoying our messages, if you are enjoying the teachings, prophetic teachings, if you are learning and growing and opening your spirit to prophetic understanding of Scripture, prophetic impartation and interpretation, and as well receiving the proclamations and the declarations that we send forth, and that God allows us to emanate and resound, then I encourage you to be a part of helping our ministry and helping us do what we are called to do in the vision that God has given us. Today, God has released a mighty word about divine providence and living and abiding under the shadow of God and having all things work together for good in our lives. And that divine providence is activated by our actions on the earth. For every action that we take on the earth, there's a reciprocal reaction from heaven. You know, one of the greatest things that God instituted was the institution of sacrifice. And we see this right at the beginning with Cain and Abel, and that they brought a sacrifice to God. God didn't instruct them to do it. They realized that heaven would react. And God looked upon the sacrifice and their heart and the intention behind it. And so, as a prophet, I speak divine providence upon you, and I'm telling you that one of the secrets that even I was taught by Kim Clement, my mentor and spiritual father, that one of the secrets of activating anything that God gives us is to sacrifice and is to bring forth an offering, and our actions on the earth create a response from heaven. So let your action of faith today in giving to the ministry and giving to the voice of the prophet and sowing into the prophetic ministry, let it open up and let it activate divine providence of your lives. Some of you can give $10, some can give $20, some can give $100, some can give $2,000. Whatever it is, God looks at the intention of the heart and heaven responds. So take a step of faith. Let your action activate divine providence in your life. And remember that God will bring to pass His purpose in your life. He has given you all that you require to let the potential in your life become activated through your faith, so that His purpose for your life can come to pass. I'll be praying for you. I release the blessing of the Lord upon you, divine providence, that your latter will be greater than your past, and all that you could ask for will come into your scope of living, into the environment that you are positioned in by God, into the land of your anointing, the sphere of your anointing, as I call it. And that the best truly is yet to come to pass in your life. It is in the future, and we're walking toward it. See you in the future.